Think you know the basics in the kitchen? I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein, and today I get to stand in front of you and give you some kitchen lessons that will help every home cook. In fact, every chef should know these tips and tricks. My culinary class is in session now on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Taste buds, and welcome to SoFlo Taste here in the Goya kitchen at J World in Coconut Creek. It's back to basics again. Today is my 7th volume of my basics show. Hopefully, if you've seen my previous basics, you're learning how to be a better home cook. I even run across professional chefs who don't even know some of these basics, like myself. So class, let's begin cooking and learning. Of course, I've worn my glasses today to look a little bit more professional and like a true professor. I thought it would be, actually I can see better, so this is interesting for me. All right, first thing I wanted to show you all was this crazy array of things from my pantry. There's so many oils and vinegars, right, to choose from. I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about what I love and what I love things on. So let's start with salts. Now, this is my absolute favorite kosher salt of all. It's called Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. And it's been around a long time. It has quite a bit of a percentage less sodium than a lot of salts, and it dissolves really well, and it's just a really great salt. Now, we chefs and cooks love kosher salt because as you go to grab salt, if this was iodized salt, what would happen? All the salt will just come out of my fingers, other than kosher salt, which you can really grab a good, what we call a pinchful for adding into recipes. Now, topping things with salt. I talk about this salt a lot. This is my favorite topping salt. This is called Maldon. It's really crunchy. It has like these crystals. Let me open it for you so you can see them. So you see how much bigger they are. Now, you don't want to season with this when you're cooking something. You want to use this on larger proteins and as a finishing salt. It's just wonderful. When using black pepper, which I use a lot of, but you can also use white, but for me, black is for everything. I always toast my black pepper in a very dry skillet on a medium heat until it becomes fragrant. You never want to do that in any type of oil or moisture whatsoever because you're going to put it into a grinder, right? And it has to be really dry. And then you have this wonderful black pepper on all of your recipes, okay? Let's just jump into a couple of seasoned salts. Only buy these from places that are really either reputable or that you've tasted and love, because sometimes you are buying seasonings that are just overly salted, have a lot of sodium, don't necessarily use the freshest and best picked herbs and spices. So I always try to use companies that I love. For example, this is Pensie's. This is out of Wisconsin. This is called Fox Point. It's my son's favorite spice, probably because it's a little salty and it just has a lot of flavorings in it. Kind of goes with everything. You'll always find some type of an onion or a shallot or a garlic flavor in a lot of these, and maybe some herbs like tarragon or rosemary. Now, if we're gonna go with the Rolls Royce of seasoned salts, we're gonna go to my favorite. This is Concall, which I can't live without. And it's kind of my crutch for a lot of my cooking, and I use this on a lot of fish and seafood. So I happen to be cooking a piece of fish right there, so it's perfect. Then there's like salts with things like dulse, which is seaweed, great flavor. I would really only use this on vegetables and fish, maybe on an occasional steak if I'm using butter. Then we have oils and vinegars for our salads. And for these, I mean, the array is huge, right? For frying, I love peanut oil, I love sunflower oil, and safflower oil. For cooking in a pan, I love olive oils, I love combination either grape seeds or sometimes you'll see combination oils, but sunflower oil is something we Argentinians love to use a lot of. It's a little healthier, doesn't have a huge amount of flavor, but it's really lovely. Then when you get into vinegars for your salads like this one, obviously everybody goes straight to balsamic usually. There's something about balsamic that is just very easy to use, right? It's simple, it has great flavor. If you get a simple balsamic like this one, as you can see, it's a little bit more liquid. And then you get into fancy ones, and this is extremely viscous, so viscous. This is actually the markings from it, and it comes out like a thick balsamic. And then there's a lot of different vinegars, right? Rice wine vinegar and apple cider vinegar, wonderful for pickling. And then you've got sherry vinegar. Sherry vinegar is kind of one of my go-to favorites for salads. Now, what I like to do to make a vinaigrette is, the rule of thumb is usually 1 part vinegar to 3 parts oil. What does that mean? It means that much oil, this much vinegar, 1 to 3 or 3 to 1, depending on whatever it is. But the oil is always the 3, the vinegar is always the 1. If you're using a high acid vinegar or lemon, then you can do 4 to 1, 4 oil to 1. Always season with some of your kosher salt. If you want to add flavorings, if you want to add one of these fun things, you can do that. And then you have a beautiful vinaigrette. You don't need to whisk this. It's not going to come together unless you add a little mustard to it. Add this to your salads. Sherry vinegar is very special. I don't think people use it enough. It's fabulous. And then we've got our seasoned salt on my fish right here, which, by the way, I never flipped it over, and it's cooked in the pan all on one side, and all it has is salt and pepper. The only thing I would add to this would be like a step-up oil, which, by the way, there's oils that are $70, $80, $120 for a bottle. You don't need to use that. You don't need to buy that. I mean, I would go up to about 50 to 60 for a great oil, but I don't think you have to spend that much. Go with a really good finishing salt. The fish should be so fresh and delicious, you don't really have to add that much to it. Come right back. I'm going to teach you how to find a good avocado and how to cut into it. And I've got so many tips that are just like coming out of my brain right now. I'm so excited. We have a lot more, so hurry up and come right back.
Come back to the Goya Kitchen at J.A. World. Michelle and the food. This is SoFlo Taste.
Coming up right after SoFlo Taste, it's SoFlo Home Project with me, Elena Capra, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to another one of my basics show here on SoFlo Taste. This one is volume 7, and if you've missed any of the other 6, just point your phone's camera at the quick response code to the open gateway to all things SoFlo Taste. Now back to my basics 101, volume 7. All right, everybody, let's jump into a bunch of great facts. All right, if you have baking powder and you've had it for a while, how do you find out and figure out if it's still good? And this happens to me a lot, this and yeast. So sprinkle some into some hot water, mix it up, and wait to see if you see any fizzles and bubbles. This is a pretty old one, so it looks like I need new baking powder. Okay, good to know. We did not have any fizzies and not really any bubbles, so this gets thrown away. Your baking powder is old, Amanda. Good to know. All right, let's jump into our next step. This one's kind of cool. So, most of you don't have almond paste, which this works really well with, but you do have dark brown sugar. And this happens to me all the time. It makes me crazy. I always thought that I had to throw away my dark brown sugar when it gets hard. Now this is soft, beautiful, fresh, delicious brown sugar. Nice and soft, right? What happens to brown sugar when it gets a little older? Well, it becomes like this. It's hard as a brick. So what do? You take some fresh, couple slices of bread. We're going to cut open that dark brown sugar. Cut this open on the top, just like so. Let's pour it into a bag with a closure. Go ahead and throw in a couple slices of fresh sliced bread. I'm using white. Not really sure if whole wheat works, but I think white is the best. And leave this overnight. You won't believe how it softens up. It's crazy. It just comes back. I think what happens is the bread soaks in all of the humidity, and then it's pretty incredible. Let's jump into a next quick tip. Doesn't it drive you crazy that you're spending so much money on avocados and you don't really know when they're ready to like dig into and open up? So here's a quick little tip. You take the stem and you pick off that stem, and if it comes off really easily, and when you look into it, it's green, like this one, it should be ready to go. Let's see, let's open this one up. Cut it right down the middle. Yep, it's ready. It's beautiful and green. All right, let's talk about slicing. I'm always asked, how do you get the pit out? So lay this down, use a large knife, and pull your pit out like so, okay? The next thing to do, how to peel it properly. So what I love to do is cut a little bit off of both sides, and the peel should very easily slice off the whole half of the avocado like so. Then go ahead and use your knife and cut it into nice thin slices like so. And if you put this on a plate or platter, and if you wrap it very tightly in plastic wrap, this can last you all day long. And you have beautiful slices of avocado you can put on pretty much anything. Now, have you ever tried to measure peanut butter? It's a mess, right? Everything sticks to your measuring cup. So I'm gonna not only teach you one of my favorite recipes with peanut butter, we're gonna use that peanut butter and teach you a very simple trick. You'll be wondering why you haven't done this a million times before. Take a little cooking oil, spray it into your measuring container, take your favorite peanut butter, place it into your measuring cup. All right, so we've measured it with the cooking oil, and it comes totally out. See how quickly that is? So let's make a really quick vinaigrette. Using the peanut butter, we're gonna add the soy sauce, a little sriracha, a little sesame oil, and a little bit of honey. Now, if you need to measure honey, if you need to measure molasses, anything sticky for your sticky recipes, you should absolutely do the same thing. Just spray a little bit of your measuring spoons, your measuring cups, and everything comes out so easily, it's crazy. Go ahead and mix this together. Now I'm going to use udon noodles, probably because they're my son's favorite noodles. They're really easy to find. We're going to add a little bit of water into this sauce. And then it all comes together. I've got some fun garnishes for the salad as well. You can add some shredded lettuce to this. It's really up to you. So go ahead and add as much as you like. Now, by the way, this is creamy peanut butter, but it can be crunchy if you'd rather. I'm going to throw in some basil, which is one of my favorite herbs for these Asian style vinaigrettes, as well as some cilantro. A little bit of light stems in there makes it even more flavorful. Let's throw some sliced scallions, some sesame seeds that are already toasted, and finally, of course, some peanuts that are salted and roasted. Mix this all together, and then you have this delicious, protein-packed, healthy, yummy dish. The kids will go crazy for it. Maybe a little bit lighter on the sriracha for them, but it's just wonderful. Fast and easy, and especially easier now with my little trick. I'll see y'all in a minute to teach you one of my favorite tricks. But before I go, even though this is the only recipe I have for this show with all these incredible tips, you have to go to the show's webpage, because this show and all of my dates before this, all of my basics show, all my recipes are there. If you missed any of them, take a shot of this QR code with your phone and off you go to the SoFlo Shows page. It's an easy way for taste buds to stay in touch with me. Now come right back. We'll see what's cooking on SoFlo Taste right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste, as we almost always are. I'm here at wonderful JA World in Coconut Creek, a great place dedicated to our kids. For more information, go to jasouthflorida.org or call 954-979-7100. Now back to the food. All right, this is kind of an interesting tip, and this is what we do in professional kitchens. You're going to want to fill your empty water bottles with tap water and make sure they are not covered, and go ahead and put them in your freezer. Then you can cover them up and use them again and again and again. So what I like to do is, this is a really big pot of just made chicken soup. You can use it in your stocks, you can use it in pretty much anything that's big and juicy. And what you're going to want to do is throw in, make sure they're really nice and clean, of course, throw in your ice bottles into your chicken soup, because you always want to cool things down quickly. That way you're never in that danger zone temperature where things go awry. Because once you cool this soup off here, you're going to want to take those bottles out and then put that into your fridge. You never want to put a hot stock or soup into your refrigerator, even into a freezer while it's still hot. You will go through these temperatures that are called danger zone temperatures that will make your food go sour very quickly. And you really want your stuff to last. I mean, you put so much love into your food, especially stocks and soups and things like this. You always want to do the best you can to save them as long as you can. Another great thing to do, once that has cooled off completely, you want to pour stock into a muffin tin. And then every time that you need a little bit of chicken stock or whatever it is that you've got, you can just pop one of these out and use it on your recipes. This one is great. This really saves me. I also do it in my ice cube container, whatever else you think can freeze quickly and you can just store in your freezer is always a good thing. I do the same thing with my tomato sauce. I happened to make a big batch 2 days ago, and I did the same. I froze it all, and now I have little bits of tomato sauce. So I wanted to teach you something that I find as a chef. I mean, I live for this kind of stuff. Now, these are containers that you'd normally find in takeout, right? Or delis, right? And this is really interesting because whenever they ask you how much do you want, I find that people are always staring at the deli containers, not really understanding. So let me give you a quick tutorial. This is actually 1 cup, which you would call a half pint. So this is just 1 exact cup. And if you're ever out of measuring cups, just use one of these. This is a perfect cup. This, which is twice the size, is 2 cups or 1 pint. Okay, so 2 exact cups of liquid or solid goes into this, and that is a perfect 2 cups or 1 pint. 2 pints equal 1 quart, which means this is 4 cups of liquid. And this is something I'm teaching my son, who's in the 5th grade right now. He always says to me, "Mom, how many pints in a quart?" 2. How many quarts in a gallon? 4. So 4 of these make 1 gallon of liquid. Does it seem easier now that you're seeing it? It's kind of cool, right? So half pint, half of 1 pint. 2 pints go into 1 quart. 4 quarts make this gallon. Am I a mean teacher? I can't tell. And lastly, and this part really helps when you're trying to like double recipes. So 3 teaspoons make a tablespoon, and 4 tablespoons make a 1/4 cup, which obviously 4 of these make a cup. Again, 3 teaspoons make a tablespoon, 4 tablespoons make a 1/4 cup. Make sense? It does to me, especially when I'm making recipes for 1,000. And there you have it, lessons from Michelle Bernstein. Come right back. Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. For more more information on today's show, or to see a previous episode, or just to ask me a question, please go to our website, SoFloTaste.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything SoFlo Taste. Thank you, Taste Buds, for watching today. I love sharing my recipes, and in this case, my kitchen tricks and tips with you. I hope I've given you some real usable tips to add to your bag of techniques. Next week, have you got fruit and veggies about to go bad? Well, join me next week because I can make good out of bad, or almost bad. I'll give you recipes to save some of that produce from going to a landfill. That's SoFlo Taste next time here on the one and only Local 10. Now let's check in with our friend Elena Capra, no relation to Frank Capra. Elena, what can we see next on SoFlo Home Project?
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So today we are hoping to take the guesswork out of selecting paint for your home. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we have expert advice on all things paint, and we hope that you can use them as some great design tips.
Thanks, ACAP. So my Taste Buds, please be smart and be safe and stay where you are for SoFlo Home Project. Goodbye, mwah, and good taste. Basic training.